Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go over the best exercises that we can do to build our quads. So let's get straight into it. As you can see, first we have the hack squat. Although machines have a bad reputation, this is a great piece of equipment we can use to build our quads. One of the main reasons this is going to help us build our quads is because the lack of stability demands. And when doing things such as barbell back squat, there's a need for our body to try and maintain balance. And the same with every exercise. As the stability demands increase, our ability to load decreases. So using machines can be a good thing because we don't have to worry about balance, so we can load the exercise heavier. With this exercise in particular, you'll notice that you're able to lift a lot more compared to an exercise such as barbell back squats. Another reason the hack squat is such a great exercise is because it removes the limiting factor of needing a strong core. Obviously you need a strong core, but again, with machine exercises, it often removes the limiting factor and allows us to place more emphasis on the target muscle. With regards to foot placement, you can place your feet wherever you feel comfortable, but if you want to target your quads more so, then you're going to need more of a narrow stance around hip width, and rather than placing them higher on the plate, you're going to place them around the middle. You can do these in the normal 8 to 12 hypertrophy range. Next, we have knee extensions. This is a great movement for building our quads because we get high activation at the top of the movement. In this movement, we're only using knee extension, which allows us to isolate and target only the quads. Again, it's another machine movement, so this allows us to load up heavier because we don't have any stability demands. Also, there's not much technical demand, which is another benefit of using machines. It's very straightforward to do the exercise. You should look to use a moderate weight for about 8 to 12 reps so you don't start to use momentum if you go heavy. Next, we have the leg press. In this video, I'm using a decline leg press, but it's absolutely fine if you use the generic ones you have in the gym. This is a great exercise for building your quads. Again, it's similar to the hack squat because you can load up very heavy and you can adjust it how you need. The adjustments that you want to make if you want to focus on your quads is your stance width. Firstly, you want to make sure that your feet are around hip width distance, and you also want to make sure they're lower on the plate as opposed to higher on the plate, which is going to target your glutes a bit more. Where people tend to go wrong with this movement is the range of motion. When doing leg press, you want to make sure you're getting as much knee bend as possible. Because this exercise is safe to perform, a lot of people tend to load up heavy with this exercise, which is absolutely fine, but if you start to load up too heavy, naturally you're going to start to cut the range of motion and not perform as much of a knee bend. Sometimes it's fine to cut the range of motion short if you want to drive up your strength slightly, but if you want to focus more on hypertrophy, it's important that we get that full range of motion. Again, with this exercise, we can focus on that 8 to 12 rep range. Next, we have everyone's favorite, back squats. I've chosen back squats over front squats in particular just because of the ability to load, but if you prefer to do front squats, that's absolutely fine. The research has shown that they show similar levels of activation when loaded relatively targeting the quads. With regards to technique, I've made a video on this previously, so if you want to go back through my channel and look at that video, feel free, but there are some key pointers to remember when it comes to the technique. To focus on our quads, we want a narrower stance. Anything outside of shoulder width is going to be too wide. With a stance at shoulder width or narrower, some people may have some problems when it comes to ankle mobility, and when they squat down, the heel comes off the floor. This can be easily fixed by placing a plate underneath your heels. This is going to allow your ankle to translate forward more so you can sink lower into your squat. And again, we want to find that balance of having a good range of motion but also being able to load up with the exercise. Again, we can work in the 8 to 12 range, but if you want to focus on strength, you can bring the reps a bit lower. Lastly, we have lunges. Not only has the research shown that lunges elicit good activation of the quads, but I think it's also important that we perform a unilateral movement to even out any imbalances that we may have. There's many different ways to do lunges, but I've gone with forward lunges because we're going to focus on the knee extension portion of the movement where we're pushing backwards. So here I'm performing the movement in two ways. You can choose to do either one. You can choose to either alternate from left to right, or you can choose to do single side for a certain amount of reps and then switch to the other side. That's all the exercises. Try them and see what works for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.